Oh, Bondi blew it? Oh, the Comey and James cases have been dismissed? Oh, golly gee, who told you that was coming? Oh, golly gee, man, if only somebody was warning. If only somebody could have seen it coming. No, here we are. Saw it from a mile away. Now, we're going to probably circle back to this at some time once we start to get into the stack. But it's like, how do I quantify this? As we're all, maybe it's not all, but many of us are seeing the same thing right now, which is we seem to be back in the Bush years. I don't know how else to say it. We seem to be back in the Bush years, or maybe even the Obama years to an extent when it comes to GOP politics, when it comes to Republican Party politics. But it's like there's this baseline belief now on the right that it's okay, we have to go right back to being party first. We have to go right back to being party first. We have to go right back to supporting the GOP, the Republican Party, no matter what. And any criticism of that, or specifically the one issue that's destroying it right now, foreign policy, and any disagreement there, you got to get out. You got to get out. And it's kind of a, like I said, I don't take the sip of coffee today for the meme, the I told you so meme. But I mean, there's a lot of that in the news today. I got to be honest. There's going to be a lot of that in today's stack of news. But here's the frustration. And I am going to circle back to this, but since I let off with this now, I'll tell you the frustration and then explain what I think is really going on here. And I'll ask you this. And if you saw it somewhere I didn't, then good for you. But I'll ask you this. Who in the media was warning that this was going to happen besides me? Because the answer for me is no one. Nobody. Nobody was warning out about this besides me. And I get it. I get why the right wing is hesitant to say anything negative. I get why the right wing is still kind of in this honeymoon phase or this denial phase, whatever's going on. And then the ones that have jumped ship are the ones that are constantly staying in tune with the truth and reporting reality as they see it without being tugged and pulled and swayed around by the different political movements and propaganda and everything else. But the answer is no one, folks. Believe me, I know. And I said this. I started saying this about 4 or 5 months ago. And really, I part of the intention of this show, and I understand not everybody can tune in every day. Not everybody wants to tune in every day, and that's fine. But for the people that do tune in every day, you really understand how my broadcasts are like a sequence of events. You understand that there's so much context that goes in, you almost have to watch them in chronological order. Because if you remember, it was about 5 months ago, I said that right-wing news has lost all its value. You may recall that. If you tune in every day, you may remember I did a segment and I said, there is, now you are getting as much value, just about as much value from CNN or MSN Now, or MSNBC at the time, MS Now, still nobody cares about the name change. You can get as much value from MSN Now and CNN as you can from Fox News. They're about equal. And that's not to say that they're not on the same playing field. That's not to say that the people on Fox are less or more honest than the people on CNN. I would say that Fox is probably still delivering you more truth, and that the people on Fox are probably still have a higher moral integrity grade than the people on CNN. But as far as getting anything valuable out of it, as far as it moving the ball or changing anything, there is virtually zero value now. There's virtually none anymore. It's just Republican Party slop, Republican Party talking points. Stay on the plantation. Stay here with us. We're not going to change anything. It's basically what it's become. And so I used to spend probably 10 hours a day consuming news And now consuming news in the standard tradition, TV, talk radio, whatever you have it, now it's so watered down. Most of these news sources, most of these news outlets have become so watered down, or they've just given up, that my news consumption is now like down to probably half of what it was, because there's just no value there anymore. There's almost no value in TV news anymore. There's almost no value in broadcast news anymore. Now you have to either go straight to alternative news, or you have to spend your due diligence combing through the web for the stories you want, and then doing the double filtration process off of everybody's different coverage of that to determine what you think is really happening with a particular story. So again, I ask you, who was warning that this case was going to be spiked? And again, I answered. The answer is nobody. I was reporting on it, and I didn't see anyone else reporting on it. And I'm watching everybody. And the attitude was, oh, well, they got it figured out. Well, really, do they have it figured out? Do you think this was a big case? It's like now we have to sit here and we have to address the MAGA cult that is holding back the American Revolution 2.0. We have to address the MAGA cult that is now stopping America first. We have to address the MAGA cult that is now stopping MAGA. That's the crazy clown world paradox that we're in right now. So it's like you have to address this to the MAGA crowd that is actually holding back MAGA. And they had all kinds of excuses. Oh, Halligan's got it. Oh, Trump wouldn't blow this. Oh, trust Bondi, all of this other stuff. And I said, you guys just have no clue what's going on. And you're not even curious to find out. Now, the question is, was this case spiked intentionally? That's the question. Now, here's my best guess versus against all the information that's available as to why this case got spiked. I don't think there was any interest, to be honest, folks. I don't think there was any interest. Don't ask me why. You'd think there would be extreme interest. You'd think that they'd be handling these cases with James and Comey. I mean, talk about the deep state. Talk about the swamp. Talk about political corruption. What was it Dan Bongino just said last week? Public corruption won't be tolerated. And everybody scoffed and everybody laughed because we're sitting here watching public corruption be tolerated. But he said it. So I don't know why there was no real interest in the Comey case and the Letitia James case from Pam Bondi. I don't know why there was no real interest in going after these deep state corrupt officials from the Trump administration. I don't know why. You'll have to ask someone that gets the access. You'll have to ask a good little boy that gets a pat on the head and gets the access. Maybe they'll ask that question. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why they spiked this case, but that's what they did. Now, my best guess is that Lindsay Halligan is probably the only one that was fighting to prosecute this case. That's my best understanding. That's my best guess. And they were probably not even going to do it. I don't think Bondi was even going to do it. Again, Trump's saying all of this, Trump's involvement in all of this, your guess is as good as mine. I'd be shocked if Trump didn't care about this, but yet look at the results. So it's hard to believe otherwise. I think Halligan fought for this case, and I think they gave it to Halligan like a favor type of thing. You know, like an intern that's been waiting to get a chance for years, you know, or like, you know, sometimes it happens in media and talk radio or TV, where there'll be somebody who's worked for a long time behind the scenes, maybe a producer, whatever, a writer, but they'd like to get on camera one time. They'd like to get behind the microphone one time, and there's a series of events, maybe people get sick, holidays, whatever, and you say, hey, you know what? You want to go on today? Why don't you just go ahead? So it's like, yeah, we're kind of phoning this one in. We're kind of cashing this one in. But you know what? You've worked really hard, and you got a good attitude and a good spirit, and we like you. So why don't you just go ahead? You're on air today. Go ahead. Knock it out. Have fun. It feels like that's what happened with Halligan. Nobody was going to take this case. Nobody wanted this case. They were about to spike the case. And Halligan was probably saying, hey, what the heck? Nobody wants this case? I'll take the case. Like, oh, you don't want this case. Nobody wants this case. We're not going to prosecute this case. Just leave it alone. And Halligan said, no, well, let me try it. Can I get a go at it? Give me a shot. Give me a shot. I can do it. So they kind of rolled their eyes and they said, all right, Halligan, here you go. Take the Bondi James case. Take the Bondi Comey case. You go ahead. Just have fun. Knock it out. Good luck. Godspeed, Lindsay. Good. And we have no resources. We have no help for you. You're all on your own. One of the biggest cases in this country right now. One of the biggest cases when it comes to deep state corruption. One of the biggest cases, maybe the biggest case when it comes to political persecution of Donald Trump. Why don't you go ahead and take it, Lindsay, with no prosecutorial experience? Go ahead, Lindsay. Go ahead. And, of course, she did it. She's probably a true believer. She probably thought she could really get it done. And then what'd you get? You get a judge in there who, yes, was a Democrat. And the judge just said no. On a technicality, no. Oh, but they got it all figured out, guys. Trust the plan. They got it all figured out. No, they don't. In case you haven't noticed, they don't. And it seems that Trump is able to get the ball moving on issues dealing with the economy and trade. Now, sometimes the ball moves in a good direction. Sometimes the ball moves in the wrong direction. But, okay, he's in there with Bessent and Lutnick, and they're actually moving the ball. For good or for bad, they're in there playing the game, moving the ball. And then, of course, you've got the Israeli lobby that's in there, and they're in there moving the ball. These are the only two things that anything is moving on right now. Now, I think most of America would agree that trying to handle the trade deficit, trying to handle the economy, maybe from that angle they might have a disagreement on, but okay, we're trying to handle the economy, we're trying to handle trade, we're trying to get something figured out here. We want a long-term plan. We want manufacturing, we want production, we want jobs. All right, okay, we're working on that. The ball is moving on that front. I think again, the stock market doesn't really say too much about the real state of the economy, but it shows you that, okay, things are happening. Things are moving. I think you're getting the first signs of your Christmas rally in the stock market today after a lot of panic last week. Okay, so the ball's moving. And then on foreign policy, the ball's moving there. So you've got the Israeli lobby running around the White House. They run the whole show. Ball is moving on that. Where is the ball moving on the deep state arrests? Well, today they dropped the case of Thomas Crooks. The FBI has dropped the Thomas Crooks case. They say he acted alone, no motive known. Of course. Of course he acted alone. Of course there was no motive. Of course. You know, a guy with virtually no training, no online footprint, whatever. He almost kills the president. He almost kills one of the most powerful, influential men with the top security team on the planet, and he's almost able to kill him on a rooftop with everybody watching. Yeah, okay. Okay, guys. So, you know, that's kind of a big deal. What are we doing about the deep state? Oh, and now this. Letitia James Comey, deep state actors, corruption. And what are we doing about this? Nothing. It's over. Case closed. Now, this is where it's going to get interesting. But my guess is if they try to bring this case back up, it's done now. And they're going to say, sorry, you already tried it. You got one shot. You blew it. Did you want deep state arrests?